And tongue-tied, what did the Muslim ban have to do with you?
Nothing at all.
So that's the first question, is what in the world were you doing so ventilated and upset and irate about it? It galvanized you. And at the end of the day, it didn't help you when Muslims didn't have a ban. It didn't hurt you when they did. And yet you took it up as a personal cause. Why would you be so personally interested in something that didn't help you when it was there and did not hurt you when it was? Why?
Because I was in the wrong mindset back then, and I did apologize for that.
Right, and that's the point I want you all to understand. That's called the gamification of politics. Because understand something.
Yes.
I've been to many Muslim places in this country and around the world. Brother, nobody's caping for black folk. They only invoke white supremacy against black people when it helps them. In foreign countries, they only talk about it when it's their interest. China is invoking Asian supremacy all over China and now in Africa. But then they want to wag their finger at America and talk about American racism. Well, yeah, they only invoke that when it suits them. Meanwhile, they go off and practice it themselves. And when black folk run around making other people's campaigns, other people's issues our priority, that is expressing a gross malfeasance of judgment. Because nobody is stomping for us. When you go up into Minnesota, the Somalis and the Muslim community up there, those Somalis, they don't have nothing to do with us. They don't have a damn thing to do with us. When you, as a black American, you go around them, they treat you like an alien. They make it very, very clear. Oh, we ain't black. We're Africans. You Africans in America, we don't have anything to do with y'all. Whatever's going on with y'all and these white folk in America, that's between y'all and them. We're Somalis. They make it very clear. You're so-called Muslims, brother. None of them have done anything for you. And this isn't about you being inhuman. This is about you saying, wait a minute, you can't get mad at Trump and say he's racist or against black folk and then go defend Muslims who are racist and against black folk. There's where the inconsistency comes in. There's where the irrationality comes in. You're supposed to just look at everybody and say, yeah, I'm cool. I'm good. Y'all duke it out and I'm on the sidelines. I don't have a dog in this fight. I have nothing to lose and nothing to gain. And black folk have been so intellectually bored and politically lazy that we have gone around just following whatever the white media tells us. And we're here to be the saviors and the civil rights activists for everybody. And that's not the way it works. Our issues are paramount. We are the people in the most trouble. And everything else is supposed to go on the back burner until that gets resolved. Until that gets resolved, we don't talk about nothing else. So I'm glad to see at 19, you've had a bit of an epiphany. But I want you to understand what the problem was. As black people, brother, we got the biggest problems out of everybody. But we've been fooled into believing that other people are, quote, having it hard too. No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yes.
We didn't choose to come here. Nobody is lynching Muslims. The police are not out there gunning them down. There's never been a Sandra Bland incident against a Muslim. Never been a Terrence Crutcher incident. Never been none of that. So when you allow yourself to be deceived into supporting, being the protector and advocate for other people, that's the problem. We're becoming advocates for other people, and those other people are not being advocates for us. Certainly not in their communities, they're not. There's not a Muslim community in this country you can go to, and you'll be treated like the Muslims treat each other. Not a one. So that's where the fallacy lies. That's where the mistaken error in judgment lies, is in giving other people the same or greater protection and advocacy than you give yourself. And no one, I want you to understand this, is 19 years old. Nobody's going to respect you as long as they see you behaving in a manner that is contrary to your own interests. When you put someone else's interests ahead of your own, you are telling them that it is okay for them to devalue you. Now, what you think you're doing, you think what you're doing by putting their interests ahead of yours is you're demonstrating to them the manner in which you would like to be treated. That, well, I'm going to put your interests ahead of mine, and when I need help, you'll put my interests ahead of yours. And there's where we get the game screwed up. Nobody's going to do that. We have to show them that we are going to put our interests first and that they are going to have to do something for us in order for us to advocate on their behalf. But we are not going to give them a freebie because that's what we've been doing. And now you've got a situation where everybody treats us the way the white supremacists do. So there's where the issue comes from. Now, in your family, what did your family teach you about Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Dr. John Henry Clark? What did your family teach you about that? Since they were so interested in politics, well, what did your and they're so against racists. What did your folks teach you about those people?
Nobody taught me that individually. I learned it myself through figuring how everything happened in the past. And when I realized that, I started to get really angry and upset because we were not being taught in school what actually happened and or the full story of certain events. And later on, I found your channel and I found other people's channels that really helped me out and helped me to realize that we are basically ran to the slaughter and stuff like that, and that's one of the reasons I'm calling.
Now, I find understand something. I want you to know where their errors are. Your parents have deceived you, and your parents have ill-served you because your parents are just basically being puppets and parrots repeating whatever the political establishment or the corporate media tells them. That's not parenting. Parenting is about teaching your children what's in their best interests, not becoming some black echo chamber of what white liberals tell you, or white conservatives for that matter. We're supposed to be promoting our interests because that's what will last. As the old saying goes, yes, we have no permanent friends nor permanent enemies, only permanent interests. That's all we have. And this idea that we need to make, the white media or whatever happy with us, no, we don't. We need to make ourselves happy with each other. I owe something to you as a black person. I don't owe anything to anybody else. And you owe something to me as a black person. You don't owe anything to anybody else. Anybody else is a charity. And the reason for that is because that's how everybody else operates and that's how they prosper. Black folk have been told that it is a virtue to do dumb things. They do news stories and everything else. Understand, a black person standing up for black people, the news media savages you. They criticize you. They vilify you. A black person sitting up here selling out black people, undermining black people, preaching weakness while they make the John Lewis documentary. They want to set up the John Lewis Museum. They want to cherry pick one or two sentences from Dr. King and tell you that's the only thing you need to know. So everything that makes us subservient, those people promote. Everything that empowers us, they vilify. And that's what you have to understand. Is the real reason why what your parents are saying is wrong. The real reason it's wrong is because this does not promote your interests. And if it did, then other groups would be operating the same way. Those other groups are not doing that. Not now, not ever. That's not the way it works. The only time those other groups do stand up for black folk is when black people make it very clear that we are going to promote our interests first, which is what happened after George Floyd was killed. Black people became unapologetic about saying, no more minorities, people of color coalition. No, it's black lives are in danger, and we're here to promote black lives. When we made it unequivocal what we were there for, clearly setting out the agenda, and we took to the streets for it, everybody else respected that. That's the difference. We didn't try to make everybody else comfortable with us. People started joining us when we stopped trying to make them comfortable. When we told them we about to make things damned uncomfortable if the bull crap don't stop, that's when people started joining us. Just remember that, okay?
Yes, sir.
I want you to make sure you
can I say a few other things?
Well, you can say one more other thing there, and then we got a lot of phone calls on the line.
Okay. the thing that people should know too, in like 2011, the hate crimes toward black Americans were 72.0%, the highest of any other date that I know of, and that's the FBI basically saying the same thing. So other people trying to say like the Asian pandemic and stuff like that, Asians has the lowest rate towards hate towards them. Some cases it'll be like 3.3, 3.1. The highest I saw were 5.5.
Well,
And
I
that's
want.
that alone just
Okay,
goes
well,
to show you
first
how
of
much they
all,
lie.
what you're saying is that during the Obama years, black people were more attacked and were killed by, anti-black racism than anybody else in the modern era, and that's absolutely true. Now, as far as the Asian thing is concerned, I want you to understand there has been allegedly here an uptick in incidents of crimes targeting Asians, allegedly here. And the reason I say allegedly is because I'm seeing a bunch of things here that are clearly not right. Every time I'm turning around, it's some mental patient going out and socking an Asian in the eye or something, hitting somebody's grandmama. That's the kind of stuff we're seeing. Black people are not being attacked by random mental patients. What they're doing is they're going to places like San Francisco, New York, places that have large homeless populations, and a lot of the homeless populations are people with mental and emotional disorders. Finding some mentally, emotionally imbalanced individual, and if they go off and so much as slap an Asian, that's categorized as a hate crime. Black people are out here getting gunned down, and the media is not calling that a hate crime. Now, there's the difference. If anybody so much as sniffs at an Asian, snorts at an Asian the wrong way, that now is being called an act of violence. And I literally mean what I'm saying. Literally an act of violence. There was, I did a program here a few weeks ago about a black woman who went to an Asian restaurant and was yelling at them, and they called that an attack. That is what the headlines said. She was arrested. She was perp walked. I think it was up there in New York. They called that an attack. Her yelling at them was called an attack.